My sidekick, and Miss Coach Pie, and we're going to talk all about that. I'm going to kind of turn it to Miss Lisa. She's kind of the best voice at asking the questions, and she questions me a lot. And we can get started here, and I'll inject as is necessary once in a while.
Always.
Ladies, say hello.
Hello, Vegas.
There we go. Good afternoon, saints of God. I hope everybody had a blessed weekend. We're going to get started with a question that has been sent in to us and by some of our listeners out there, and we're going to pick Coach Pie's brain this afternoon so we can get better educated on exactly what's happening in this direction. So I'm going to get started with the question of what is Chex Systems? What does that mean? What is it? And
how do you spell it?
How do we how do we navigate?
I don't know. We're not clapping it out today. Usually we clap out with Pastor Bob, right? So Chex System is used by financial institutions on accessing the risk of people opening up checking accounts or savings accounts throughout their customers.
Okay, understood.
So if somebody has mishandled a checking or a savings account in the past and still owes a bank or a credit union, even a credit union, then most likely they're being reported to the Chex System and they're not able to open any new accounts.
Okay, so if you wrote a check and the check did not clear...
It's not even just that. It's just like, let's say you had a bank account and then you stopped paying the bank. You were in the negative. You had some delinquent items or whatever, and you just chose not to pay the bank.
Gotcha.
Then they'll actually report you to the Chex Systems.
Understood. Okay, we need to be paying attention out there, people. Because I know sometimes, and sometimes not deliberately, people fall into, bad times, hard times, and you're just not able to do that at that point in time.
Right.
So you wind up in Chex Systems. Is that how that would work?
Correct. So you just walk into a bank and then all of a sudden they just say, Lisa, at this time we are not able to open an account for you. I need you to call this number.
Okay. And then surprise.
And then when you call that number,
then they'll let you know that, hey, Pastor Bob, you had an account over at Bank of America that you left an outstanding balance.
Understood.
Well,
okay.
Now, be careful with Chex Systems. I know not with Chex Systems, but with checks in general, because the truth is a lot of people don't even have any idea what they really are anymore. How many people actually use writing a check? I'm one of the few, I think.
Yeah.
Because I do. I'm archaic.
Correct. And the thing is, nowadays, if you deliberately write a bad check, you can go to jail. You go to jail for this, right? So people need to understand, you just cannot misuse your bank account.
I got to tell you, it's a funny story, but it's not funny. My wife, many years ago, a lot of years ago, she wanted to have her own checking account. She didn't like the idea of using the family checking account. So she went to one of the local banks and she insisted on opening her own account.
Okay.
Which I made sure I was on the account so I could at least know what was going on. And so she signs up. I don't touch the account. I'm just a signer on the account. I get a phone call after depositing $1,000 to get her started. I get a phone call from the bank about 8 days in. Mr. Paget, your wife's account is overdrawn. I'm going, really? So I call her. She says, I can't be overdrawn. I still got checks. You think I'm kidding. It's a true story. But people don't realize that you can't just write a check.
So the thing about checks, because yes, you're right, some people still do use checking accounts. You have to do a check and balance. That's why there is a positive and a negative at the top of. You have to.
And there's a charge when you go over.
Correct. Sometimes the fees can actually be up to $35 per NSF, right?
And you get it on both ends, because if it gets returned to somebody, they will charge you in addition to. So that $10 check you wrote could cost you, $75 or $80.
Right. Just imagine writing a $25 check, and before it's all said and done, it didn't cost you $85. Right. It's just it's not even worth it.
Not worth
and
it.
It works the same way with your bank account. The over the limit protection that they allow you to have.
And they charge you for it.
Some banks actually have up to a $500 limit, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you know this. Do you know how many people just really, and I get it, people get in binds and they need to, be able to use the money. But if you're using the money, y'all, please pay the money back.
Yes.
Because there's some, as good as credit restoration can be, etc., there are limits sometimes to what can be done. If you are being really stupid and you're in a hole, you still have to pay the bill.
Right, most definitely. My thing is everything that we're talking about now is tying into you being into debt. My thing is you can't say you want to get out of debt and then you're going and burying yourself in
That's
deeper,
right.
even into your bank account. No, all of it does not report on your credit, but just to know you're getting in a Chex system. And it's just like, well, whoa, wait a minute.
You're making a deeper
Because it has effects, right?
Right.
Yes.
And we're going to go into that because that was going to be my next question. What effects does Chex systems have on customers?
Right. So just like a credit report, the way they handle loans and credit cards and things like that, Check System actually handles your NSF
of it, yeah.
right? Your overdrafts, your delinquents and things like that. So and they actually remain on this report for 5 years.
Wow, that's
so
a long
here it
time.
is. You're messing up for $25 and then 5 years later you're trying to
Still.
figure out how you can get an account.
I don't have 5 years left.
It works
kidding.
like credit. The thing is, you can't get in debt and then not try and get out of debt. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
most definitely, once you get into the check system, you just got to figure out who put you in there and what needs to be done to get out.
There you go. Absolutely. And I think sometimes people forget. You've gotten out of that, whatever it was you needed, you used that money, you did a lot of things. Maybe things got a little better, but you forgot to go back and fix it. So then you walk in and like you said, you're trying to open up a new account and they go, oh, here's a phone number. You have to call and find out what happened because there's somebody that you owe.
Correct.
And so you have to be mindful.
And I don't know if this ever happened to anyone, but have you been in a store like a Walmart or a grocery store and you go to, because some of them still take checks, right?
They do.
Not
They
many,
do.
but very, like the dinosaur
No, they
age.
still
Some
do.
of them are,
They
right?
still do. I
And
know
then
it.
you go to pay for your check, and then they're giving you this your check back in this 1-800 number. That's because they done ran your check through that little machine, and it's called check system.
Right.
So the thing is, you have to be cautious on how you're paying with those checks.
Yes.
Well, and our next question going down the list on that is how do customers get out of check systems? Like, what do you do? Where do you start?
Right. So after being reported and being denied the ability to open an account, it has a different effect on your finances because the thing is now, guess what? I have to go stand in line and I have to start paying my bills in person. I can't even pay online anymore.
right.
So now that's taking me out my comfort zone, right?
I don't pay online.
Guess what? You have a job. And you literally have to go to the bank and cash a check because you cannot get direct deposit, right? And then, or, the bank does have that offer of that overdraft protection. You now have to go get payday loans because you're short on money when you could have went and kind of overdraft your account to your next payday, right?
Right.
So, what happens is the right thing to do is find out which bank you owe, pay that bank back, let it stop reporting negative, and have them remove it. And then now again, you can get your
Back in the
ability to
system,
go
right.
to go open new accounts.
The truth in a lot of this, it boils down to just simply doing what's right yourself.
Accountable.
Try not to get in over your head.
Correct.
To start with, and again, because we do not teach in our school systems how people are to take care of themselves that way, how you deal with credit. I had to laugh because I was sitting in your class that you do on Wednesday nights, and it was asked, did anybody here ever be taught in school?
Correct.
I had to say yes, because in 1962, they actually had a class called personal finance.
1962.
Shut up.
Whoa.
But understand this, then, We didn't have credit cards.
That's true.
They didn't
Okay.
exist.
I don't know. I'm a 70s baby. I don't know what happened in the 60s.
Yeah, you didn't count till you're in the 80s either.
I'm just saying, even
But
in
no,
the 80s, we had credit cards, so I don't know.
But we didn't, and that was the thing. They did teach us then
Yeah.
how to deal with checking and all of that kind of stuff, how to budget, etc. They don't teach that anymore.
Right.
Correct. And you know what? That's the sad part with our education system is there need to be somewhere down the line that we're teaching some type of financial literacy
That's
Yes.
true.
to our youth, because the way that the world is set up, you know what I'm saying? Jobs are not secure anymore.
No.
So many places are closing. It's taking 5-6 people to live in one house, to be
yeah.
able to maintain, a household. But my thing is, there are things that we, the people, can do, and that's learn how to, one, budget,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Budget.
two, save a little bit, pay ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Pay ourselves 3%, 5%, even the 10%, that we may give to other people. Let's start paying ourselves. I got an auntie, and she taught me the envelope system, right? And I used to be like, Auntie, you were a school teacher, so you always, Aunt Donna used to say this thing like, put it in an envelope, right? And put a name on it. And seal it. And I'm just like, put it in an envelope,
Yeah.
seal it. Wait a minute. So the thing is, we have what's out of sight, out of mind type
is.
thing,
It is,
right?
and it works.
So my thing is that we could just get back to teaching the basics
Yes.
to our youth. Then, we'll be okay. So
Absolutely.
our debt is not that bad, because most people are not even in debt.
Right.
They don't have $80,000 worth of
No.
debt. They be having $10,000-$15,000 worth
If
of debt,
that, yeah.
and then want to file bankrupt.
Right.
It's really sad because
That's
you're
true.
absolutely right,
That's true.
Latona, that because I do a lot of premarital counseling, etc. And one of the first things I do when I get a couple that comes in is, show me your budget. They go, huh? We don't have one. You got one now because you're going to do it. And that's the first thing I make them do
Right.
is work it out so that they understand. And the top two items are 10% to God, 10% to yourself before you have anything to live on.
That's right.
Right.
That way you've got that money going in, you're doing your tithing. And I've got people who come and they're well into life. They go, I can't do that. All right, then do 2 to God and 2 to yourself until you can build it up.
Right. Well,
but
'cause
get
that's
to that goal.
That's the number one reason
Yes.
a lot of couples fall apart. It's finances. It's money.
It's amazingly.
It's always fine. A lot of problems that people have nowadays
It
are
goes back
finances.
to the
So my
finance,
thing
yeah.
is, if you could just figure out, even saving change. A lot of people don't even know. If you go back to the water jug days, right?
That's what I did.
And people are having a hard time because Christmas is coming
Yes.
up, right?
Yes.
But just imagine if you started saving your change back in January all the
Right.
way to December, how much money one of those gallons hold. They actually had it on Facebook. So, if you just put silver in a 5-gallon water jug, it's over $4,300 that can go into this jug. So could you imagine just going
change, yeah.
halfway, just saving your change up? Let's just go back to the basics.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And unfortunately, a lot of people, when we're saying, okay, what you got taught, unfortunately, we got taught the wrong things. Because if your
Yes.
family was, again, using every single dollar all the time, that's what you saw. That's
Yeah.
what you learned. Nobody ever talked
I
about it. but
remember
that's all
my
you saw.
father and mom, back then, things were different. We had the corner grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And every payday, Dad would have to go in and pay the guy that owned the
tab,
store
right.
because everything went on a tab. They would say, Bob, run to the store, get 2 loaves of bread and a dozen
You
eggs.
can't tab
And-
now.
Yeah,
Wait
I know,
a minute.
but that's
Is
but
that
that
Little
was
House on the Prairie?
Shut up.
Wait a minute. That sounds like Little House on the Prairie. Hold up. Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me
Mm-hmm.
there used to be a day and time where you could have a tab
And
at the
actually
grocery
pay.
store and go pay it
It was a
later?
little corner store. It wasn't these big grocery stores. No, yeah. But yeah, and we did. And
She was an honor system.
ours was called Stan's Market. Stan, he knew everybody that was around there, and yeah.
Stan is long gone.
Stan is
Yeah,
long
he
gone.
done- he done kicked the bucket.
He been out of business long time with that system, right?
But-
the thing is, what's most important that we need to really, really understand about this whole topic that we're talking about today is if you just learn to do a little bit of budgeting,
That's
right?
Yes.
Just a little bit. Like Pastor Bob say, even if you can't put 10% up, put 1%.
Anything.
Put something up to the just emergency. You know, my thing is if something was to happen in life, you're doing GoFundMe's, right? So my thing is just start saving for your funeral.
There you go.
Yeah,
You have to
and
save somewhere.
as I explained to these couples when they come back with the first round. And I'm going, really? This is it? Oh yeah, we got it all in there. Really? And I'll look at the woman first. I'm sorry for picking on the ladies. I'll say, how much do you spend on makeup?
Well, it's a good
And
thing I don't
it's
wear makeup.
funny. But you'd be amazed
face,
how many do. And I'll look at the dude and I'll say, how much you spending at Starbucks?
Right.
You know, and it's like, I got to
gotta
put that
add
in
it
there.
all. Add it all in.
Everything
Everything.
has to be
Everything.
in there. You know, and I'll tell them, like with car, they go, well, I got the car payment in here. What about maintenance?
Insurance, all
All
stuff
of
that
that.
goes with having
Right,
a car.
and my thing is, and we most definitely have to, when we're budgeting, we most definitely have to put in our entertainment.
Yes.
You know, because we all have entertainment, whether it's eating out, whether it's going to the movies, whether it's going to the club,
That's right.
whether it's travel, but whatever it is, if we start saving for these, we go to Aunt Donna's method and do the envelope system, we can have that cruise paid
use
for
that
and
system. I
not
know it
have to
works.
worry about it. You know what I'm saying? But whatever system whatever you're about to do or whatever system you're using, just make sure you stick with it.
Yes.
There you go.
Just
Stay
make sure you stick
consistent.
with
The
it.
biggest thing is, God calls us to be stewards of what He gives us,
Right.
or what you earn, and you need to be doing that.
Correct.
If you do it. J.C. Penney, a lot of people don't realize. Remember J.C. Penney?
I was old enough for that. Yes, I remember that.
Anyhow, J.C. Penney started out with his tithing. At the end of his life, instead of giving God 10%, he was giving God 90% and living off the 10. Look how much money that man had.
Yeah, my thing is, I mean, if you just do it, and you can start now. Listen, we are at the end of 2019.
Yes.
So that still give you a good 60 days and some change. So a lot of people, they do these New Year resolutions, right?
Last 3 days.
That don't even last 3 days. They last from the time that you say it to the time you post it on social media, and then once you're done, it's all said and
all
done.
over.
It's
But
done.
but for 2020, y'all, I challenge everybody to just start budgeting and saving your money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Just do a little bit at a time.
It
That's
do-
all
you
you
know,
got to do. Do a little bit at a time.
I had to laugh because I give my son an allowance for some of the things he does. And I went to him one day and I said, how much have you got built up? He said, about $500. I'm going, really? You need to go to the store?
Yeah, you know what? The children are amazing, right?
Yes.
You know, that's funny. Last Sunday I cooked dinner, so I had my oldest granddaughter and my second oldest granddaughter over, and my second oldest, she's 6 years old. So she was going around my house collecting my change. Now, you know, I'm old school, see, because it's some things old school people do. They just have change thrown everywhere on the table, on the floors, wherever, right? So she was picking up this change, and she was like, Grammy, can I have this? And I was like, have what? She was showing me quarters and things. And I was like, sure. By the time she got ready to come home, her pockets was kind of full. And I was just like, well, whoa, wait a minute. Can I have some of that back? Right? So my thing is, children do the amazing things, and if
Yes.
they can do it, we can do it,
That's
right?
right.
Absolutely, we can.
You know, again, my son, he budgets himself. He knows what he wants to spend on what.
Right.
You know, and he likes polo, going to the polo store. But he knows going in there what he's going to spend.
Yeah.
Or
already has
if
an idea.
if he
I want
wants to
these
go
two, I want
to
this
Barnes
one.
and Noble and buy books because he loves books, he knows what he's going to spend and he knows what he's looking to buy.
Right.
Right, and that's where budgeting come in at. You know, old school, we used to write these grocery lists out, right? And then you take the paper and the ink pen and you start crossing out. So now this
I
is how
still
you
do.
start budgeting, right? Let's put down your monthly expenses and then let's figure out how we can budget. Because some of us are living above our means, for real, for real.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes. But that's because society teaches us.
Right. You got to.
You can have it right now.
Right.
You don't have to wait for what you want. You're entitled to it right now.
Right.
And that's not the way it is.
You haven't earned that right now.
Yeah.
You don't have it right now. You can't do it right now.
I used to try to explain to my wife before she passed away. I'm telling stories on her. I'm sorry, but she'd say, "Well, it's such a good buy." I said, "If you ain't got the money, it ain't a good buy."
That's right.
I have a saying that I was taught by one of my mentors, and it went something like this: if you can't pay for it twice, you can't afford it.
There you go. It doesn't belong
So
to you.
my thing is, I just want to give a couple of credit tips right quick because we're on a
we're down to
2 minute
2
mark.
minutes.
So pay your bills on time. It's very, very, very imperative that you do not go over 29 days late on any of your bills. Keep your credit balance up under 30%. 7% is even better. Maintain your credit history. The older the credit card is, the better. And you have to have a little mix. You have to have some installment loans and some revolving loans. With that being said, I am Coach Pie.
Yes,
you can
yes.
follow me on Instagram
Yes,
at Coach_Pie. That's again Coach_Pie. Lisa, let's give them your social media.
My social media. I want to pass that back to Pastor Bob because he's doing.
Yeah, I'm going
We're
stuck.
trying to get him started.
You can find me
people.
on
Help us out with
Instagram,
that.
but look for me. You'll find me there. We're running out of time.
Yes, hurry.
We're down to the last minute. And I
Yes.
want to pray us out. So please, 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 we'll have Coach Pie back in 2 weeks. That's the plan.
Yes.
And so I ask all of you out there to just be praying. And if you have questions, give me a call, 702-994-7724, 702-994-7724. God bless you all. Now let's pray. Heavenly